Pat Irwin here, and we've been waiting a long time to finally hook up again. We had some technical issues in the past, but Pat, everything looks clear here. So, how you doing today?
I'm doing all right, thank you. How are you?
Good, doing good. So, you've had a remarkable career. I mean, you've done so much film, music, TV, and then, your early days playing with the B-52's. So, maybe you can go back and talk about the days of starting maybe in Paris with John Cage. I read up about that. That's pretty incredible.
It really was. In fact, I was just talking about my apartment this morning.
Right.
I'd seen a news article about the bridge Pont Neuf from Notre Dame over to the left bank was being wrapped by crystal, I believe. And my apartment was on the small island just behind that on the Ile Saint-Louis. And it was like the most cherry location you could ever imagine,
Mm.
particularly for a kid essentially my age. And I got the apartment through a guy named Mike Zwerin.
Okay.
And Mike was the writer, uh, music critic for the International Herald Tribune well as the Paris Metro. I met him the first night I went out, he was at the bar, and I think it was either a Steve Lacy concert or maybe Art Blakey. But
Mm.
anyway, and Mike is a really interesting character. Played bass trombone
Oh.
with Gil Evans on the famous Birth of the Cool sessions, and one of the expatriates. And I had received a research grant to write about and research um, American expatriate jazz musicians in living in Europe, which I kind of did a little bit, uh, but it wasn't for me. What I did was I met some really major league musicians and writers.
Can't go bigger than that than John Cage, right? I mean,
Well, yeah,
that's pretty up there.
yeah, believe it or not, I'll lay it on the line. I was having dinner with a painter artist named Brian Geisen and his friend William Burroughs,
Oh boy.
and uh, I had gotten friendly with both, and they said, "Well, listen, man, you don't want to do this writing critic stuff. You either want to go work with John Cage, who's putting a got a workshop going together, or the famous, illustrious, legendary teacher Nadia Boulanger." And
Mm.
I met with them both. And, which was amazing that I got to meet with Nadia Boulanger.
Yeah.
And we met several times actually. But it was pretty clear that it wasn't for me. Although what I did with her, hung out for a couple of times, was pretty deep. So anyway, I basically signed up to be a part of John Cage's workshop.
Oh
And I
wow.
actually just found my notes from that yesterday in a storage box. And it blew my mind. It was one of the heaviest things you could ever imagine.
I I mean, I looked at on your bio and said, wow, John
Yeah.
Cage. I mean, he's legendary
It was
artist.
yeah, it was so beautiful. And he was such a great teacher. And I've had the good fortune to meet several of them, good teachers. And he just turned me on. I mean, he really made it possible, in my mind, for me to make the decision to become a musician and move to New York City.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you. Your move to New York, you were right there in the no wave, era when everything was happening.
Well,
It's
it seemed
great.
like that to me. Yeah, I mean, I right away, the first band I saw at CBGB's was Suicide,
Oh, okay.
and then I saw the Contortions. So, that blew my mind. And I saw Donnie and Jody and George. And then I saw Lydia with lunch with Teenage Jesus and DNA. I mean, I just, for some reason, plugged right into that. I may have seen other bands, but those are the ones I remember. And and then I met George Scott just
Mm,
days afterwards at my I had a loft on 27th Street, one of those
jeez.
legendary, huge, raw, no heat, no electricity, no wa
Oh my
nothing
gosh.
places on 27th Street. Where and then I met him and he introduced me to Lydia, and it seemed like within a week we were making Lydia's solo album, Queen of Siam.
Oh, that's a great album. I mean, you were right there. I mean, she was still is a legendary artist. I mean, another one that changed everything.
Yeah, she's legendary for a good reason. She's really something. I'm a fan.
Yeah. And then, so how many records did you do with Eight Eye Spy? Was that just did you do a record with them or just with Lydia?
Just with Lydia, I mean, a record with Eight Eyed Spy came out, but it was a for a record that we maybe well anyway, I'm finding a little bit of trouble finding the right words. Basically, the record that is out was made without George. George
Okay.
Scott, he died,
Oh,
sadly, tragically died, which was the
hmm.
end of that band.
Oh,
And
that's a shame.
yeah, it was a shame.
Oh,
Yeah, he was a powerhouse. I mean, the Contortions record, I think it was Contort Yourself, was on
yeah.
the jukebox at Max's, and George just dominated that sound.
Yeah,
It-
I did. It's an
and
amazing record.
it's an amazing record.
I mean, that changed things too for everybody. I mean, James Chance was such a energetic character musician in that day. He made was part of that whole era. And then I want to talk about the Raybeats because I remember seeing you guys listed in different places to play. You did two albums with them?
Yeah, well, yeah, officially too.
Hmm,
And yeah, well, the Eight Odd Spy and Raybeats kind of um existed at the same time.
hmm,
Um, you know, and Don and Jody and George had left or were pushed out of the Contortions, no matter depending on how you want to look at it or whose point of view. And then they just started to play together down at Don's place on Warren
hmm,
Street. And maybe they got together one or two times, and George said, "Let's call Pat,"
hmm.
because we were working in Eight Eyed Spy. And that was the kind of thing where you could, I don't know about your band, but we
Hmm.
could we played, and then we could find a place to play. There was a support system, and we
Yeah,
we could play at Tier 3 and Danceteria. Of course CB's and
yeah.
Max's, but there was the Mud Club.
Yeah, we played all those places.
Yeah.
And we were
And
lucky, we had 9 records and
yeah,
Ed Bauman was in on all those clubs.
exactly. And,
And
and 99, and he had the store.
right.
And I was always, to be honest with you, uh envious of you guys and the Bush Tetras for having 99 records, you
We
know.
were lucky. We did a show, our second show ever was at Tier 3, and we
Hmm.
invited Ed down and he loved the band and so the rest was history with that.
That's
So,
fantastic.
the right place at the right time.
Exactly. But the thing of it is there were it was I don't think it was a better time than it is now,
Mm,
but there was definitely rent was cheaper. I'll leave it at that. You had these clubs that
yeah.
could exist and take chances on bands like yours and mine.
Yeah.
And and then you had people like Robert Palmer, Michael Hill, whatever coming in from the New York Rocker or the Village Voice and even if it was just an ad in the Village Voice, your name would be in the Village Voice for a
Yeah.
couple, you know.
I saved some of those ads from those days. And it's like, wow, look at that. But the energy in those clubs was really something.
Yeah, it was amazing.
Oh, I mean, that 1 o'clock in the morning, that place, those places were primed for some kind of live music to keep it going.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
And
uh, that's the truth. I hadn't thought about it, but those late sets at the
yeah,
at Danceteria, wow.
I mean, we would get there 7 o'clock for the sound check, and then have to leave and come back at midnight. And then maybe we'd come on at 1. Some clubs were like 2 in the morning. It
Yeah,
was
totally
quite a period. But we
crazy. Yeah.
we did shows with ESG too. So that
Weren't
was
they the
quite a
greatest?
combo.
Those records, those ESG records,
Oh,
your record, ESG, those records are just alive.
that's true.
They're fantastic.
Yeah, the energy was really very intense back then. Even when we did the reunion shows, it was intense. So
That was
let
up at Lincoln Center, right?
yeah, with
Yeah.
Reese Chatham.
Yeah, with Reese. Yeah, I was there. I saw those
He
shows.
had those 100 guitars, and that was
Yeah.
an interesting night. Quite a
It,
pairing there.
it was a great night.
Yeah, it
I
was.
loved it. I loved it.
So let's talk about the B-52's. I mean, that's an incredible jump. Oh, how did you get in that band?
Well, the Raybeats were playing for the Raybeats were playing at the Mud Club, and a mutual friend brought Kate to see us play. And the Raybeats played one or two or a handful of shows opening for the B-52's.
Mm,
But we were also loosely speaking on the same kind of circuit. So even though the Bees were up on another level
right.
and had a hit with, if in my mind, it was a hit with Rock Lobster and 52 Girls, that first single on
Okay.
DB. um, we would be crossing paths.
Mm,
So, and then, they got bigger and bigger. And then when it was, and then the B-52, Ray Beats had a sound man named Mo Slotin, who was also did sound for Bush Tetras and other bands. And Mo was a longtime friend with the B-52's,
oh, okay.
with Kate and their more manager, Maureen at the time. And so they were recording Cosmic Thing, and to their credit, after Ricky died, they found the energy and the resolve to continue.
Mm,
And Kate asked me through Mo to be in the band.
that is
So
something.
yeah, it was cool. I was so lucky. I didn't even realize really what it meant, but I don't think they did either because it was only going to be for 3 weeks.
That's it?
Yeah, it
Wow.
was it was we didn't even the I don't think the record had come out, and we were just going to play some dates. And so we rehearsed pretty hard down at DeSalle uh in Tribeca on no, I can't remember exactly the
So,
street. But we and then we played like CBGB's and Toad's Place, and we were gradually playing these little places, and the crowds were getting big. I mean,
yeah.
in the smaller places, but
Yeah.
they were going. The response was amazing, and so we went back and shot a video for Love Shack,
Oh, I remember that.
and then it went up on MTV, and kaboom! It
Yeah,
just
that
it
was
just
it.
it just blew up, and and then I ended up staying in the band for maybe 18 years.
Oh my gosh, that's great.
Yeah,
You
it
must
was
have
cool.
played some big places at that point. I mean, they were snowballing into this really major act,
They were
major
huge.
band. Yeah.
I mean, two top 10 singles. I mean, we got to play. We opened for the Rolling Stones.
Get out of here. Wow.
Yeah, man.
That's
Um,
something.
yeah, we played. we played the Meadowlands and the Garden and RFK Stadium and you
Oh my
know
gosh.
sports arenas and the Chili Peppers opened for us and we had a ball. It was like we did rock shows. It was cool.
What was it like playing those huge places, where the sound isn't great and it's just a mass of people?
Well, first of all, that the bees had it going on. They no fooling around. Those guys work really hard, and this was their
Mm,
band, and they had built this band from the same vibe that you and I are from. I mean,
yeah.
this just came from their hearts. It was theirs, but they worked hard, and they knew how to. They weren't going to play dates unless the sound was good. And we had a kick-ass soundman, a guy, Mike, who had been with AC/DC since the beginning.
Oh, wow.
And we had lights and they just did it right. And then the band, we were, to be honest with you, really good. Zach Alford is now with the Psychedelic Furs, but he played after us. He went with I mean did David Bowie and then
Mm. Oh,
Springsteen. I mean, he's a really good drummer. And Sarah Lee, who you might know,
oh, yeah. I remember her from she was in Public Image. What is that what she was
a
in? Or
gang of four.
Gang of Four, yep.
She's amazing.
Yeah.
And so we were really, so we would do some of those dates, and you're right. Some of those Z100 radio things with Foo Fighters and whatever, and no sound check in front of 20,000 people, and and then you go off and you just take it in stride.
Yeah, it's
It,
all you can
it
do.
yeah, it was and Fred is some kind of he's one talented guy.
Oh, he's a genius. He really is.
He blows my mind. I mean, it makes me really emotional because this is not your typical rock star.
Mm,
He's not like this is not some this is the kind of band I want to be in. And so he can take a venue like the Garden or and put it in the palm of his hands in a completely different way as say Springsteen.
right.
But Fred can really turn it into a party
Hmm.
and make everybody feel welcome. He's really good.
Those opening act as an opening act, that's always kind of difficult. I mean, are you set like for a half hour and then you have to get off the stage, or was there issues with that? Like playing with the Rolling Stones, I can just imagine the people are there to see the Rolling Stones and you have to perform.
It was fine.
Oh,
I
that's
mean,
great.
that was a really good one. I mean, we've done others. We opened for ZZ Top. We opened for the Allman Brothers.
Allman Brothers. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Dickie Betts.
Yeah.
Man,
But
that's a weird pairing. I guess they had
well,
those strange pairings back then.
it was just rock shows.
Yeah,
I mean, it was like
true.
all part of the entertainment pie. That one was in San Diego at some street fair. And they were so it's not like it was a bill. It was people there that we were on the bill along with a couple other bands,
Okay.
and the headliners were the Allman
Well,
Brothers.
that makes sense
You know,
on that.
it wasn't I mean we opened for Cher.
That is unusual.
That was cool.
Oh my gosh.
And to be honest with you, we did fine, but they were not there to see us.
No,
Yeah.
I'm sure.
She
I'm
had some
sure that
fans.
crowd.
Yeah, man.
I'm sure. Well,
That was it's a cool crowd too.
while we're on that, what shows stand out for you with the B-52's? Is there any that are just that?
Yeah, I mean, a couple. The Rolling Stones gig uh, at Radio City, which was a like a benefit for the Robin Hood Foundation.
Hmm.
Playing with the Rolling Stones, God damn, were they good.
No, they're
And
always good.
oh, geez. But the best part of it was s- being upstairs in the dressing room with Fred and Keith afterwards, probably
Oh,
Zach.
wow.
And the guys, we'd have our own dressing room and the girls would have theirs. And Fred we're drinking a beer, hanging out. And he goes, this is as good as it gets.
Yeah.
And I was like, Fred, it is. It was so thrilling to be playing like on that level.
Yeah.
But, we played like one show at a friend of mine was there in Minneapolis in the very early days where the Bees hadn't played for a couple years, and Cosmic Love Shack and Rome was getting big, and the upper balcony people were dancing so much that it was shaking, and they had to shut us down to
Oh,
stop
wow.
because the venue
Yeah.
was.
I can
And
just imagine that.
but what what I like about the B-52, what's so much about it is like they had built up so much goodwill with their audience.
Mm.
It was really different than the Raybeats and Eight-Eyed Spy and other things. They had fans who just were really invested in those songs.
And they had like a happy energy, it was upbeat and people really went there to be entertained and you guys did it. I remember seeing some concerts on YouTube, how the energy level was really great on stage.
Yeah. I mean, it was all new to me. I'm not the happiest upbeat guy on the planet. So to be a part of it was just a thrill. I can't deny it. I mean, I
Is
got
there any interest in any more shows you think you'll play with them? Maybe reunion shows, or is that it?
I doubt it. I mean, the three singers, Kate, Fred, and Cindy, are still playing shows with Devo right now.
Okay.
They're like I've got a tour, and I went to see them at the Beacon, and they sound great.
Yeah.
They're great, But it was time for me to move on, and I got to do. I don't remember what I was working on at the time, but I'm still in touch, and as you mentioned earlier, the Dexter and other things.
Yeah.
So I get to do that.
Yeah, I want to hear about that. I mean, you've done all the Dexter soundtrack for the shows?
The ever since I guess they're called spin-offs.
Okay.
I did Dexter Original Sin, Dexter New Blood, and now I'm doing Dexter Resurrection.
How do you break into that market? I mean, that is really difficult.
Yeah, it is.
Man,
Well, but I've been at it. I mean, back when I was in the Raybeats, I did soundtracks for Tales for the Dark Side.
okay. Oh, I
Uh,
remember that show. Oh,
yeah,
you did that. Okay.
yeah. I did one that Debbie Harry was in.
Ah,
Um, and I I started doing a cartoon. Well, the Raybeats played our first gig we played was on 42nd Street at an art show called the Times Square Show, which was kind of a famous show for showing Keith Haring and Kenny Scharf and Jean-Michel Basquiat for the first time, like the Uptown
right.
show. Collab sponsored it, and the Raybeats played at it. And it was right downstairs from the Nickelodeon headquarters. And
Oh,
somebody from Nickelodeon came down and saw the Raybeats, and they were friends with it. One thing led to another, and they asked me to do this cartoon that they had. And I think they probably asked me if I'd ever done a cartoon before, and I probably said yes. Um, but I didn't know what I was getting myself into. But I
yeah.
had done a couple independent films already. Um, I didn't really break into it. It just kind of evolved.
Mm. And where do you do this music? Do you have a setup at your house or you go into a big studio to do all this
No,
music?
my first studio was in the meatpacking district.
Mm.
I was actually in an elevator shaft.
Oh,
It's pretty modest. And then I had a stu then I did a lot of recording at Sorcerer down in Soho. Do you remember that
oh yeah.
studio?
Well, I think we recorded there.
That's what I
Sorcerer
thought.
Sound. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think a lot of Bill's 99 records were made there.
Yeah.
And then Tom recorded there, Verlaine recorded there, and but anyway, and but I have a setup right here where I am right now. And it doesn't take much. I have a studio in Long Island City,
Okay.
and I do a lot of recording there. I record guitar. I just did a session with a viola player, Martha. But for bigger sessions with, let's say, a band, I go to a bigger studio.
I'm sure for that.
Yeah. But it's all pretty modest. It's not like this is not Star Wars.
Okay. So you're coming up with the music on the spot, or you have an idea of when you see the film what you might want to record?
Yeah, I wouldn't call it on the spot.
Okay. I
Um,
mean, you range it, you see it, and then you come up with ideas.
yeah. You got to be together.
Hmm.
Um, and by the time the musicians get in the room, it goes through a lot of different, there's kind of a vetting process, and the editor has to sign off, and then the director, and then the producers.
Hmm.
Maybe that in the case of some things I've done, the network will get involved, and everybody, wants to feel comfortable with the music, and then we finally put it in.
Now, what's the time frame? Are you under a lot of any like pressure to get something done?
Yeah.
I imagine.
I mean, it can be pretty brutal, but right now with like a week I'll have or days, but sometimes an afternoon, but
Hmm.
just to do like a couple minutes, like at the last minute. But right now we're in the second season of Dexter Resurrection. And so we're in the early part, so I'm really enjoying myself. Um, just basically getting ahead. I've read all the scripts.
Okay.
I'm coming up with ideas. There's a handful of really bad guys
Hmm.
um, that I'm enjoying coming up with ideas for. And I know this character Dexter pretty well. So
So
I've
you
got
have
his,
an idea now of how to do the music around them.
yeah,
Now, is
yeah,
all your instruments plugins, like plug-in electronics, and then you play off of your keyboard, or do you have hardware keyboards, like analog, or how do you
yeah.
record this?
Well, all of the above.
Okay.
Like I just did a session in my studio in Long Island City with a viola player.
Is that Martha Mook?
Yeah.
Oh, she was fantastic. She was one of my best interviews.
Oh, cool.
She was great.
Yeah, she's great. I
Oh,
I've known her for years, as long as you and I have been doing this. And I saw her play down at the Big Ears Festival with Laurie Anderson and Evian King, and it was beautiful. And she was otherworldly. And I just knew it would be right. And I love doing that kind of thing,
yeah.
like seeing a musician, like the first cartoon that I scored, I remember seeing these different musicians. Uh, Kevin Norton was playing with John Zorn. He was on, and Anthony Braxton. He
Oh,
was
yeah, I remember him.
he was on drums. Dave Hofstra played bass. You probably know Dave.
Yeah.
Um, uh, Rob DeBellis played woodwinds. He was playing with Muhal, Richard Abrams. I had this big band for a cartoon. Art
Mm,
Barron was he played trombone with Duke Ellington, no less.
no kidding. Wow.
Yeah. And so these guys we're all kind of, if I can say that, like on a higher level
Yeah.
than me. So like I learned so much from them. It's like John Cage, just learning from these guys who made me reach higher.
I was
That
going to say that. Yeah.
no plugin can really do that.
No. Well, I
But I
could
do
see.
use, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go. I could see when you're playing with people of a higher level, you get into the higher level of playing because you're influenced by these people.
Yeah. Yeah, they make me realize what I can do.
Right.
And they're showing me what they can do. But it's reciprocated. We're still in contact. Like I pushed them into places they didn't know they could do either, or didn't get to do maybe. But I don't get to use live musicians all the time. And the plugins are a reality. And I don't
Yeah.
have any sour grapes about it, but a lot of people are getting used to that sound. Like, and too, the sound of a drum machine. That's got a thing.
Yes.
It's cool.
Used in the right way, it works.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm trying to do something right now with a character in Dexter and this beat plug-in, which is,
Mm,
I don't know, I'm just kind of trying to twist it a little bit and then overdub on top of that some some metal pots and pans
that's neat.
and things that'll just give it another sound and a vibe. But the plugins definitely give you can if you know them, you can move quickly.
I can
That's
imagine. Yeah. I
that's
mean,
and
you're
that's
just,
half the deal. The deadlines, you just have to be able to work fast and make it sound good.
I can imagine. I imagine the producers calling you or somebody, hey, where's that soundtrack? Where's that? Is, does that come up? Or come on, I need it.
Nah,
That's good. It
no,
doesn't,
I want to get ahead so they never have to do
yeah.
that. And at
See,
this
that's
point,
good.
yeah, and I like that. You want to be the person people want to call. So
That's it.
if you're late, it's a small world. People will find out quick,
Right.
and I'd rather do anything than be late. You
That's a
know,
good attitude and good way of doing it because this way you're on top of it. I wanted to talk to you about this ambient country, SUSS. What's
yes,
that?
sus.
What was that about? That looks interesting.
It is.
Very.
We're on our sixth record, I think.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Yeah, we've been playing. We're on a really small, uh, fantastic label out of Brooklyn called Northern Spy.
I know them well.
Oh, you do?
Well, a
Cool.
friend's band, Simon Spine, is on that label.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
They are great guys.
Yeah, I have that record right down there.
Yeah, I got to
Um,
play on a couple of their songs,
oh,
their
cool.
last record, and they're great guys.
I love that.
The band is really good.
Yeah. They've got some really good records, and
Yeah,
I mean, they let us be ourselves, and we're making stuff. And the idea came together from one guy named Bob Holmes. And Bob was in a band called Rubber Rodeo that was playing around the
okay.
same time we were. And he had this idea to combine ambient music and country music.
Hmm.
And he had a clever little pitch when he talked to me about it. He said, Eno meets Enio.
That's funny.
Yeah, he's good at that kind of thing. And I really didn't want to be in a band that was ambient country. I didn't really get it. I
Yeah,
like the idea. I just didn't want to be called anything. Like I
yeah.
didn't want to brand it or whatever that word is. But he, first of all, it was really fun. We five of us got together. It was five of us at the time, and we played in my studio in Long Island City. And it's not a big studio, but
Mm.
we all fit in there, and we cut this record that Northern Spy put out. And 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 then we played some dates, and then we made another record, and then we played the Big Ears Festival down in Knoxville.
Oh, wow.
It's
It's
really
great.
it's happening, man. It's fine. It's cool.
And you're on a great label. I mean, they're really happening, Northern Spy. I mean, they
It
really put out
helps.
some good music. Yes, for
It
sure.
helps. I mean, I'm thinking of you guys and 99 Records.
Right.
I mean, I think one of the benefits is that it's not, I mean, we're not going to be, you know, Billie Eilish anytime soon. It's not like anybody's trying to be Bruce Springsteen. It's just they let us be ourselves. And it's like Bush Tetra, it's like you guys on 99, you were ESG, Liquid Liquid,
Right.
Bush Tetras, you were just yourselves.
We were. Yeah, we were
And
just naturally happens.
and you made great records.
We did. And I've got to thank Ed for a lot of that. He had such a great ear. And he was our sound man too.
Oh yeah?
He did sound, he did the record and promotions to get the show. So I have to give Ed Ballman a lot of credit. And then his brother Bill worked at Haraz and
Hurrah.
Danceteria. Haraz, yeah.
He was a DJ.
Yep. I'm still in touch with Bill.
Yeah, me too.
He's got he's got an amazing record collection.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah,
man.
he just sent me a picture of the first Raybeats record and the first EP, which I actually don't own. But so and it's fun. I like talking to him about records.
Yeah. I went to his house once and man, he was pulling out these box sets, like T-Rex and Bowie, and everybody's like, wow. I
Yeah.
mean, it's amazing.
I love that stuff.
Yeah. He's supposed to come on and talk about his days with 9-9, so I'm hoping he comes back on. He talked about his music before that he enjoyed, so we'll see what happens.
Cool. I'd tune in.
So what's up? What's going on now? You got the next Dexter soundtrack. What else are you planning on?
Well, to be honest, that keeps me pretty busy.
Okay.
Um, but SUSS is doing something super cool. We're creating a reimagined soundtrack for a movie called The Vanishing Point.
Okay.
That movie was made in 1971, and it famously features a car, a Dodge Challenger, and the actor, and it's one of the sort of early 70s existential anti-establishment type indie
Hmm.
movies. And we're doing a soundtrack live.
Oh,
And
okay.
that's really challenging.
I can
And we're doing
imagine.
yeah, we're having that's really cool. We're putting that together. We hope to do it in the fall in the city. Um, and we have a couple dates booked. And I don't really, I made some music with Cynthia Slay, um, and we never really released it, but hopefully we'll get that music out there sometime. I do things here and there, but I did a show recently with a friend of mine from Queens in Long Island City. His name is J. Walter Hawks,
Okay.
and he's a incredible musician. And he wrote some music for Blues Clues and
Hmm.
Wonder Pets, Peg Plus Cat. He's won 3 daytime Emmy Awards. He and
Hmm.
I made a record together, and we just played in an art gallery in Long Island City. that suits me just fine. I mean, it's so much fun. And we actually did this live gig with a neon artist
Oh,
who set up neon, and the
oh,
three
that
of us.
sounds interesting.
It was awesome.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you're
Yeah.
keeping busy. It's really great.
Yeah, I'm really, I don't think about it all that much until I talk to, to people like you, and it's like, well, yeah, this is okay. It's
Yeah.
working out.
Well, it's about building a legacy, even though maybe people don't like a record now, maybe in the future they'll say, "Wow, I should have gone back to this." I mean, that's what happens.
From my point of view, I just like to make stuff.
Yeah, that's what you look at. You know,
Yeah.
nobody's,
So
it's hard to sell hit records these days. People
I
aren't
don't even,
buying massive amounts of music. They're just handpicking songs here and there.
yeah, well, I don't even know what that is. I've never really done that. I mean, the B-52's are a pretty big exception, but they didn't really make that. I mean, they worked, Nile Rodgers and Don Was, who each produced side of that album. Those guys, they, Nile knew what a hit record was.
Yes.
And, and Don is just who now definitely knows what a hit record is.
Oh, I'm sure.
Uh, those were really exceptional producers, and they were on Warner Brothers, and they made a record to be commercial.
Mm,
With Northern Spy, for instance, and SUSS, we don't have that kind of pressure. We don't. We're not even on the same planet. We just you know, and we make it, and then hopefully somebody will like it.
yeah. Well, you have a label that lets you be yourself,
Yeah, yeah,
and then they put it out, and you don't have to worry about all that marketing and trying to get manufacturing together. They take care of it, so that leaves you time to create.
absolutely. So yeah,
That's a
we're
big
pretty.
difference.
It totally is a big difference.
That's something. So, wow, Pat, it's been really a fantastic interview. You're really done so much great music. I'm glad people out here can hear your story and all this amazing stuff you were part of.
Well, thank you.